My name is Louis Forget, and I'm going to be hosting this session with the help of Annabelle Alarcon. So, if you have any questions, please keep them for the end. Please mute your microphone. This way, we'll avoid some disruption during the talk, and let's move on. So, type of content, the subjects today are going to be related to automation, some real-life stories, what are the building blocks, and ending with an open discussion on automation. So, automation, what is it then? How do we untangle some of those terms over some of those subjects? First of all, the difference between remote control and automation, I know we've been using a lot of these terms in last years, and automation is now becoming the subject of the hour. Basically, what control is that you are, as a user, having a single action to operate one very specific aspect of a motion or of a movement or an action you want to do. And when we talk about automation, we're more talking about things that are going to go a long way with minimal or no human intervention. Let's say, for example, we've had autopilot in planes for a long time, and now we're getting that inside cars, inside our house with domotics. So these are the subject that we are more interested in. But if we concentrate on the specifics on test and measurements, it's really related to, comes down or boils down to one of those subjects, which are, we talk about Skippy, we talk about Telnet connecting to our devices, scripting and programming. So this is really the core of what we're talking about today. I know some of this is what we generally refers for the legacy at TNM, which is what our industry has been doing for almost 40 years now, and maybe more than that. And in fact, how or why do we want to automate testing? Well, first of all, it's one of the obvious choices that we want to increase speed. As the presenters were made very clear from Stefan and Mr. Hardy, is the fact that if we want to go faster, we need to automate our tests. Going faster means that it will take less time, and we will allow less money for each and every test. So it will, in the end, cost less. Having less test station, having less, do more in the same time available will definitely cut costs. If you do this automatically with the same automation procedure, you will also improve the yield of your products, or the yield of your manufacturing process. Basically, because if you do it on a regular basis and it's all automated, the yield will definitely be lower. If you get more tests, have better yield, you will definitely get more data. And this is a very good thing, because if you get more information, you get more data, you will eventually be able to provide some analytics or some be able to extract some trends on how your process is going, and eventually focus your attention on where the issues are. And this is done mainly because you have a lot of information available to you that was acquired through automatic processes. And eventually it will trigger or allow you to plan for the future and either to be more away from your test equipment, or to be more in tune with the operation that you're doing. So, in a sense, having more information and more data will start, or will begin to bring to a new level of understanding of how your test is going, and you will need to be prepared for the future. Basically, is that when every time you extract some results, the data is only as good as the data you collect. So make sure that every time you make an acquisition or make a measurement, you attach the proper information to put it into context, to eventually allow some analytics and some big data processing for the data scientists to actually be able to filter and extract all the valuable information once again, to improve your process and improve your yields. And whenever it's possible, avoid including human human factor or human collecting the data, simply because humans are unfortunately more prone to errors, and it becomes a bit more complicated to follow or to extract the valuable data through analytics. So when I think about valuable information, I'll let Annabelle talk about the one of the use cases that we see.
Thank you so much, Louis. And talking about automation, definitely we see that one area where automation has grown exponentially is the data center market. And just to give you perspective, I would like to talk about one specific case or some specific cases that we've seen with our customers. Can you, yeah, perfect. So just to give you some perspective about the size of the things or the number of elements that are inside of a data center, one of the biggest data centers in the world told us that they have around 96 transceivers per building. So this gives us the idea of and that's just the transceivers that interconnect. We don't, we imagine if we have this number, how many switches, how many fibers they have to deploy. So the number of elements inside of a data center are making it impossible to handle failures just with technicians. Right now, they really need communication from machine to machine. And that is what automation means for data centers. Automation and analytics are becoming a key for troubleshooting and planning. So what we see is data centers are looking for automated tools to interact with their testing equipment, with their switches, with everything. Now they're looking for real tools to give them a big picture. And just to finalize and give another perspective on this, I like this quote a lot from Vikash Kohli. He's the head of networking at Google, that he mentioned that automation is a matter of survival in the scale-out world, not a luxury. So we are talking about here, it's survival. So right now, and we are seeing it more and more, inside of data center carriers everywhere, automation is becoming something essential. And that's why at Expo, we are really focusing on it.
Thank you, Annabelle. And in order to go a little bit further on the understanding of how your process are going, would like to know what in your team and in your company, what is the preferred language to build test sequences and scripts? And to do so, I will just switch to a quick poll that we've installed. You can just simply join by scanning the QR code at the top left corner, and with that, you will be able to vote on which language that you see. So, of course, we have the usual which are Python, C# and LabVIEW. But do you know there might be some other reasons why you don't. You need to know, or you prefer some languages. So as you can see, we have the data coming in. Please don't hesitate to vote. It's only a rough estimate, and hopefully to get how the markets is going these days. So of course, each one of you have their preferences when it comes to building a system. And C# is my favorite because it has been using it for a long time. But I know Python is getting more and more popular these days, which is actually reflected on what you see on the screen. LabVIEW, from what I understand, has lost a lot of ground recently. But other than that, it might be due to some markets trends or some other elements. So, and I would totally accept the fact that some companies do work with some contractors and actually leave this portion of the business up to people outside of the company. So it's fine with me.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to listen to your opinions, because we have the opportunity to listen a lot of people on the market. So we will really value your reply.
Actually, I will leave the poll open. So if you want to answer a bit later, I'll get it back on a little. But getting back to the presentation, we've presented that, and moving on with the real life scenarios. After that, next slides are going to talk about the actual some of the actual settings and configuration and implementation that we did recently. One of the first one is on the left with the, cable manufacturing is one of the large market outs in the industry. And of course, when you manufacture cable, you need to test it for various specifications, insertion loss being one of them, but you can also test whether it changes over time and if the temperature, the climate, or the vibration affect the functionality. So one of our customers asked or required that we develop a system to do some long-term testing using an OTDR and switch. And using some very simple Skippy commands and LabVIEW integration, we actually managed to, which is a pretty straightforward application, running for multiple very extended period of time, which in this case were about a few months, to see if there was any evolution or changes into the various specification that were monitored. It was again, the model for developing such a solution is either using X4 equipment and developing it internally, or make the use of a third-party integrator. In this case, we did summon or ask for an integrator to work with us on this subject. Next item, next the solution or automation situation that we've encountered is the ribbon splicer tester. Actual or test setup. Basically, you have the DUT in this case, the device under test is the ribbon splicer, where we split an average amount of light into each of those splices, and having a reference and having the measurement after the splice is done, the script that was made was actually able to simply provide a CSV format of all the measurement, and in between the measurements, the measurement request was done, and all of this was stored inside a CSV file, making it pretty easy to integrate inside an Excel report out of this. So this is, of course, starting the original use of this or the original process for developing this test was actually doing every measurement manually, putting it down afterward on an Excel document, which was effectively very error prone. So just by the time saved, it was meant or it was worth the effort. We often talk about automating the measurement process, but some companies go even further down that road and automate the management process, which is they have systems that organize not only the installation, not only the testing of the various devices, but they also monitor the manufacturing, the delivery, the documentation of the process, and eventually all the in-service activation of the system. And one of our customers asked for a way to actually automate one of the very particular aspect of the in-servicing, which is the end phase connectors that we are able to measure with FIP 400 from Expo. And that we integrated our product using an API that was pretty easy to implement, and the result is that they currently have inside their own management system, which is available as a web-based application. They have all the moments where they have to do the measurements, and they have the measurements that are associated with it. So the management of all those results is included inside the same system. So other items that so the other options are going to be explained by Annabelle.
Thank you, Louis. And this is one of the examples that we have automated in the field, where we are helping our customers to really get the best from their units. So what we are doing using scripting and automation and programming languages is to extract the specific information from the test they do, and that information gets directly sent to the customer's data management system. And as I mentioned, this information is used for analysis. So this is really feeding their analytics to predict failures, to do troubleshooting. So this is one of the use cases we have applied to the field. But it doesn't just stop there. We also can do things on the lab. And we have worked with several of our customers working with scripting and some programming languages to give them the flexibility to move from application to application and also retrieve the information that they require, focusing in specific results for then do analytics and get the best from the test they're doing. So these are two different applications, one in the field, one in the lab, but automation has really helped us to take testing to the next level.
Thank you, Annabelle. And just one of the few things that to keep in mind related to testing and automation, be very. There's also the metadata that is important with a measurement. I know. Do not discard them as easily as or as from the back of the hand. It's not only the measurement that are important, but it's also the context in which they were made. Let's say, for example, in which test station they were made, who were the technician on duty at that moment, and all these kind of things will eventually be of interest to extract some process tendencies or objectives that you will be able to extract if you have all the context of those data. And I know it might not be completely related to automation, but there's also shortage personnel for programming, so it might comes to a certain extent difficult to build some automation if you don't have the proper personnel or the proper specialist to do some automation. So learning to do automation or to do scripting is something that is extremely valuable these days. In order to do automation, you need to have some building blocks. And Exfo has been providing those building blocks for a long time now, starting from the sort of simple benchtop, rack mount units, modules, and the feature that are all available to on the hardware side. But the next thing that you have to keep in mind that it's not only building blocks that are physical. We now have physical building blocks that are associated with software. Basically, when you look at that same group of equipment, you have to see them through their actual software components, which are either Skippy commands, IVI drivers. You might even just look into the user documentation and extract some valuable information. You have LabVIEW drivers, you have HTML UI, you have some software development kits that you can read and see to help you develop those scripting. And speaking of which, if we look at the actual architecture that is inside a component, what we traditionally have and what manufacturers are used to see are basically an external application developed either in LabVIEW, C#, Python, well, more recently Python, but this is talking to and through our GPIB's Telnet or Ethernet interface, talking to the Skippy interface that we have, and the internal of the platform is able to respond to that. Today, we have a little bit more options at our hands, which is the ability to address or connect directly to the REST API. of our devices, which is REST API is just basically a simpler way to connect to our devices. And this is the protocol. It's using the HTTP protocol, making our devices just like a simple web service that either custom applications can address, mobile application can address, and eventually desktop application or even automated full system can connect to it directly. So this is the new way of seeing the architecture. And not to leave them behind, we also have IVI drivers that are able to connect still to the legacy application, but this is one way of handling the automation process for our devices. Just an important fact is that automation is the bonding between the bricks, either software or hardware. Automation is the way to go for the future. And speaking of scalability and of going forward into the future, every situation and every customer has its own way of, or their own environment. One of which is, it could be that they are either a large company or middle-sized company, and they have extensive software expertise, and they have a lot of people who can work and build on automation, and they know how to script, they know how to program it. In this case, Exfo's answer would be simply to use the user guide, use the IVI drivers, check out the skippy command or hierarchy, and this way you will be able to build an automation application. This can be available. Actually, this is available as of now, and everybody can use it. That's fine. In some other situation where either people have less information, less experience with the with automation or programming, they might need a little bit of help from either our technical support, look into our software development kits, or use our IVI drivers. So definitely we also have the ability to help when it comes to people or companies that have less experience with programming or scripting. And in some situation, people have either little or no software capability or software expertise at all. And in this situation, we can either use external companies to develop the solution, just like we saw in the real life scenarios, and talk with our application engineers, discuss with Exfo people to see how we can, how either a custom-made solution or an application or scripting could be made out of a very specific scenario. So we have an answer to all of those situations. That actually concludes the talk on automation, and it's only the beginning. Meaning that we have, as I said, we have a lot of information and a lot of services that are available, either through the documentation, which is available on exfo.com. We have a series of videos available on YouTube to explain how to configure and to establish a connection with Exfo devices. And if eventually you need to talk with the Exfo technical support, we also have the links below. Thank you so much.
If you want to continue discussing further, there are our emails, and we will be happy to receive any questions or comments.
Yeah, totally right. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.